Hello and welcome back to the railway. We're going to have a look at these blue second series Transcontinental coaches today, but I thought it would be great to see these three liveries together sitting at the station. Now, I believe these second series Transcontinental coaches, along with R.159, the double-ended diesel, made up a great train set in 1962 to 65, the RS34, and I believe that was referred to as the blue streak at some point, and I think you'll see why once we've got this lot on the move. Now I think we're just going to open points number 11 there and bring the whole lot smoothly out of the station. Just listen to the noise as those ribbed wheels or knurled wheels begin to bite at the steel track. Absolutely lovely. And we're going to snap those points shut there and off around the layout. We're going to move gently around and bring the whole lot back up to the station. Nice and smoothly around that first radius curve, a lot of friction there. And a nice gentle stop there at the end of the platform. R159 first showed up in the 1958 catalogue, and we've got it here on page 17 with Mark II couplings. Sadly, I don't have a variant with those earlier couplings. All of mine have the Mark IIIs. Underneath there it says R159, double-ended diesel locomotive, electric with working headlights. And it gives the rough dimensions of the model, or the length of the model there, 22 centimetres. And interestingly there we've got the dummy model, R250, double-ended diesel dummy, non-powered, exactly the same length as you'd expect. So if we just have a swift look a little further on in the catalogue here, we should be able to see the locomotive. Sorry, I meant back in the catalogue. Sorry if I'm moving through this a little too quickly. There we go, we've got that great set there. So we've got a powered one and a dummy, and some of the first series Transcontinental coaches there. That's quite a pretty thing, isn't it? So we'll just pop that down. Now I think in 1959 they got the illustration a little bit more accurate, especially on the cover, and I think many of us, when we think of R159, think of this very stunning image on the cover of this 59 catalogue. So we'll just open up and we'll have a look at the model, see if we can find out which page she's on. There we go. So I think that's quite accurate to how the model I've got on the layout looks today. And then we'll just have a look further across, and we've got another wonderful set there with the dummy diesel as well. Very striking, isn't it? Could probably do with a few extra coaches on the back. That was the R3V train set. Quite an interesting looking thing, isn't it? So we'll just pop this down, and we'll have a look at the box that the model came in. Triangle Railways box with a lift-off lid. So fairly tidy condition. We'll just have a quick look around. Effects of tape either end. And then we've got R159, double-ended diesel, sticky paper label there. The sellotape's gone over the top of that. I think it's long gone. I think that's just the stickiness or the residue. It's not sticky anymore, but you can feel it under your finger there. And on this end, I think there's a price which has been written by pen, but it looks like the ink didn't work when it was written. And I'm not quite sure whether that's 56 shillings. I can't quite read it. Again, we've got that lovely paper label there and the effects of tape. So if we just lift off the lid and have a look inside. So we've got a corrugated cardboard interior. Whoops. We've got a little bit of paperwork there. It doesn't have its service scheme book, but it does have this instruction leaflet. It's quite fragile. You can see the effects of damp and age all over it there. We'll just have a look at that on the back there. Triangle Railways are built in Britain by Rovex Scale Models Limited, Westwood, Margate, Kent. We'll just turn it over. Oh, we've got the old model number there and a date. So it's always quite nice to have these little bits of paperwork with the models. Let's have a swift look inside. I don't want to open this out too much. As you can see, the hinges, not the hinges, the staples have rusted quite badly. I don't really want to damage the paperwork. too much. I'll just open it out and have another look there. So it is quite a general instruction sheet. And you've got track matters or layouts, things about wiring up your layouts, power clips going in and so on. So we'll just pop that to one side. It is very, very fragile, as I say. I know we've got the corrugated cardboard inner. If we just lift that, we can see the model in there. We'll just lift that up. Now you can see we've got Triangle Railways along the side there. Later on, the model went on to have Triangle Railways spaced slightly wider, with each word closer to the cab ends, and then ultimately she got the TR shield. If we just have a look, this model, we had a look at it a couple of weeks ago. This one I've extensively rewired. It's another one from slightly later when it got the TR shield. So the box is fairly worn, just like the model. We'll just pop that out. Excuse the sound of cardboard there. I know we can see the TR shield, but still retains the same design around the front end of the model. So we just have a look at those two together, perhaps. Hold that up. So quite interesting. I believe the model went on to be produced from 58 through to 59-ish, possibly into the early 70s in the UK, with this TR type livery. And I think there were some more interesting liveries for the Australian market and perhaps New Zealand. I think the Victorian Railways version and the Trans-Australia, perhaps, with Trans-Australia along the side here. And from what I believe, there were sets, or a set, right up into the mid-70s, perhaps 78, as late as 78. The Spirit of Progress set, R.572, available in Australia with a version of this. So quite a long-running model overall. Many variants, some interesting models in New Zealand with some exotic colours, but there was rather a lot of changes, too many to list really. Just gently moving away from the station there, into the second radius curve. We're going to make our way back around the layout to points number 7, where we can move on to the outside line and gather a bit more pace, I think. Great, snaking through the points there by the turntable, TC wagons on the left, and we can see the dummy unit there, R250, waiting patiently. Excellent through the points, and we'll snap those shut into the third radius curve, now picking up plenty of power to negotiate the incline. Just listen to the knurled wheels biting at that steel track. I imagine that really does wear it away over time. Now you can really see why this group of models got the name the Blue Streak, can't you? Absolutely fantastic, stalling down the elevator section there, and away she goes. There we go. That rough running we're hearing there isn't really rough running. The motor runs beautifully and smoothly, I think. It's the noise created by these knurled drive wheels, which give it the grip or the diesel sound, depending on your point of view. So the model's in fairly tidy condition. I believe that one of the windscreen pillars may have been touched up in the past, but from this angle, I can't quite see through the camera to point out which one it is. It's a very nice touch-up. So there we've got the motor bogie and that lovely pilot on there. Looks very sleek, doesn't it? It's very exotic. It fired the imagination, I think. At the time this model was released, it would have been quite a striking thing, I think. Again, like the double-ended electric we saw the other week, I'm not going to dismantle this particular model. We'll have a look in a different one in a moment. But for the same reasons, it's all back together and as it should be, but getting it all to stay together and not come apart again whilst running, it is quite a trial, I think. You can just have a look underneath. We can see some of the two pins which are in question there, just up there. So that supplies the lighting with power, and the cabling runs back through underneath here to the other end. So quite a lovely thing, fairly tidy condition for its age, I think. So we'll just pop that down and we'll have a look at this great cutaway illustration. Just pop that there. So this is a 1960 catalogue, and we've got this lovely illustration with a key of parts here. So we'll just have a swift look at that, see if we can keep the glare to a minimum there. Television interference suppressor number 1. There we go. Twin worm wheel drive direct from the armature shaft. So there's number 2, there's the armature. The worm at either end of it driving the wheels there. Number 3, the headlamp. So there's the bulb sitting in this clear plastic section here, and those pins I've been describing there underneath, they just push in, they're a push fit. And then number 4, powerful Alchemax 3 magnet. I think I pronounced that correctly. So the magnet sits between the two pole pieces here, just behind the TV suppressor. And number 5, sintered phosphor bronze bearings located in felt oil pads. So you can just see the tops of the felt oil pads. There'll be one at either end of the armature there, somewhat helping in some way to keep the bearing lubricated. But I think that these felt pads were probably removed in later models as a cost saving exercise. Number 6, massive sintered iron pole pieces. So these are the pieces sitting either side of the magnet there. Number 7, balanced 3-pole armature. So that's the armature and the coils sitting there with the worms at either end of it. And then number 8, this is what causes the noise, the knurled steel driving wheels here. So it really is quite a lovely illustration, isn't it? So just that white cable there that takes the power from this end of the model to the other end of the model for the lamp on the other end. Of course, no directional lighting at this stage. We'll just pop that down. We'll have a swift look at this service sheet here. There we go. So there's the motor bogie and the different pilots that could have been used for different models. See that indicated here. And there's those pins which supply the lighting. So here we've got a lighting bracket here which could be used for the dock shunter or the yard switcher. And this bracket would be used in the front end of the R.159, the single-ended diesel. So again, just the lighting off, the cabling off the motor bogie supplied direct to the bulb really and holds the bulb in place. So it's a nice idea. And then the lamp brackets here for R.155, which is the Bogo switcher. Again, lighting at either end of the model. And this is the lighting units for the model we're looking at today, R.159. You can see these clear plastic pieces here in the bulb at either end. And at one end, the pins push in there to hold the bulb in place. And then we've got the bulb at the other end there. So that was the white cabling I pointed out in the illustration there. So fairly flexible motor bogie used in plenty of models. So if we pop that down, and I know we saw this model already in this video, and I sort of dismantled it again with the double-ended electric, but we'll have a swift look in here. And I've already taken the screws which hold the roof in position. Now I have rewired this model extensively and perhaps not quite as prettily as it could be done, but I've installed a sort of terminal block here, so put a longer wire to the motor to make it easier to service, and the wire's taken the power to the bulb at the far end there. So if I just take out this shouldered screw, so we can have a look at the motor bogie and some of those parts that we were just looking at on that diagram. So out comes the screw, and there she is. That shouldered screw there just suspends the motor bogie through the plastic bodywork and enables it to twist without the screw coming loose. So just pop that down. We'll just ease that out there and just pull that cabling through, so we've got a little bit more chance of seeing the motor bogie there. There we've got the felt oil pads at either end, look, and the twin worms and those very noisy driving wheels. And if we have a look at the pole pieces are either side there, and the Alchemax magnet in the centre there, and the brushes there. I don't think they were pointed out in the illustration, were they? But you can see my rather shoddy sort of soldering in there to hold the bulb in place. So if I just pop that back in there for a moment, and we'll just pull out this plate on the other end and have a look how the bulb's held in there. So see if we can get that and that. There we go. And there's some more of those pins just holding the bulb in position there. So again, I think I said before, it's an ingenious design, but can be a little frustrating from time to time. So here are the boxes for the coaches I've got on the layout, and we can see the information printed on the end here. We've got the coach, blue and yellow with seats, and we've got the catalogue number there, R.159, and then we've got a price there which appears to be 12 shillings, and another number which appears on the end of all these boxes seems to be R40. I don't know what that relates to. And there we've got the old observation, blue and yellow with seats, R445, and again that one's 14 shillings, that little bit more with the extra detailing on it perhaps, and again R40. So the boxes are fairly tatty, but they've sort of survived and kept the models in good condition, and it is always nice to have a box with a model. So just pop those ones down and have a look at the other two. You can see there's plenty of marking and wear on these boxes, and again we've got the model number there, R446, baggage kitchen car, blue and yellow, and again 12 shillings, and that other number R40. So it looks like these all came from the same place. And then we've got the diner, R447, blue and yellow with seats, and that would be again 12 shillings and the R40 on there. So again, tatty as the other boxes are, a little bit squashed, but they have kept the coaches nice and safe. So we'll pop that down and we'll have a swift look at the 62 catalogue. So I think this is the first time that all three variants of these second series Transcontinental coaches showed up. We saw these green ones the other week, running with the overhead electric locomotive there, the double-ended electric locomotive. And there we go, we've got the blue coaches, the red and silver, and the green. I always thought that's quite a stunning page there. So we'll just pop that to one side and have a swift look over the coaches. So I think it's just the same moulding being used as on the green ones and on the red and silver, which we also saw just a little while ago. But if you look here, you see we've got black underframes on two of them, on the coach and on the diner. And it made me think a little bit when I first bought these, but I read in Pat Hammond's book that they have been found with black underframes. I'm not quite sure why. It doesn't give any information as to why that might be. So there we go. And the glazing strip in this one seems to be a little loose when you tip it up. I think you can hear it. You can see it's just come loose there. And it drops straight back into position. And I'm not sure whether I pointed out that the seating unit in there, I think, comes from a Pullman car. Those lovely brown Pullmans that we've also seen running on the layout, not for quite some time now. Perhaps it's time to dig those out again, although we haven't got the lighting detail fitted to the tables. But there we go, there's the diner car. And again, sleeved wheels. I believe these did go on, make it into a period where pinpoints were available. And I think other variants for the Australian market were made with Victorian Railways possibly Trans-Australia, and I'm sure other variants as well, but I think principally in blue, Victorian and Trans-Australia. There's the baggage, and this one's got the old silver underframe detail there, or silver grey. Again, really quite pretty things. So I'll just have a swift look around there. Pop that down, and we've got that lovely observation with a beautiful detailing on the top. Lovely seats through there, great detail across the back. Really are quite pretty things. I'll just turn that around. We do have seating in there. It is quite difficult to see through these windows, but it sort of goes around the edges of the cabin there, or the compartment. Lovely things. I'll pop that one down, have a swift look at the coach. There we go, seats, again at quite an angle on them, isn't there? So we'll just turn that around. There we go. You can see some slight striations in the plastic mark when you catch, in the plastic moulding when you catch it in the light. They're sort of slight flow lines in the plastic as it's cooled perhaps, or entered the mould. Still, I think they really are quite lovely things. Why the green ones became rarer than the blue ones, I'm not quite sure. They all seem to have had a fairly short period in the catalogue, 62 to 66 perhaps with these, I think. Or maybe there was some held in stores and sold off later, I'm not quite sure. But certainly there seems to be more blue ones around than the red and silver or the green ones. We're just going to jump back into the 1962 catalogue here for a moment, and we'll have a look at the double-ended diesel here on page 20. Now she's got Transcontinental on the side there. From what I read, she never was available quite like that. But also, apart from looking at her with the Series 2 coaches there, wonderful picture, isn't it? That's got to be an artist's impression rather than a photograph, that I think. The dummy version that was made, R.250, not illustrated, double-ended diesel locomotive, non-powered. And I think that's the last time she was mentioned in the catalogue. I don't think it was produced after that. I'm not entirely sure the date when it ceased. But after this point, the model got the TR shield, as we saw earlier. We'll just have a quick glance at that again. So the model changed to the TR shield rather than having trying railways on the side of it. But here I do have a dummy. We'll just leave that one there for a second. So we've got R.250 here. The printing's quite faint, and we do have a price in pen there, 17 and 6. R.250, double-ended diesel, non-powered. Again, the effects of tape. The box is reasonable. I think it's missing one of its flaps on the end. You can see the tear there where it's been missing. Again, it is quite faint on the end there, isn't it? R.250, double-ended diesel, non-powered. So we'll just open up the box and we'll have a look at the model. Just carefully get that out. It's got one packing room, and the other end has just got sort of beige tissue paper in it. So we'll just ease that out and have a look. So there she is with trying railways on the side. We'll just see if we can get that box out of the way. So fairly tidy condition, and I don't think she's seen a lot of action. Really quite a pretty thing, very light compared to the one with the motor. So if I just move that packing ring out of the way, we'll just pop that down. We can have a swift look at the powered unit there, sitting with there. So I think they're quite a nice matched set there, aren't they? So we'll just have a look at that. So they've both got the blue tanks. I think they're quite early on with blue tanks, and later perhaps we've got black tanks. I'm not sure of the dating on those, but it's quite nice to have the two matching. So if we just have a swift look now, I believe that these, when they're made, they didn't have the lighting fitted in them. So if we just see if we can pop that out, we'll have a look in one end. So there we go. We'll just ease that out. It's quite stiff. There we go, there's just that little insert plate there. And we can see that no metalwork's been fitted in there to fit in the lighting unit. I'm not going to take the other end out there. And again, interestingly, we've got the model number here, R.159 and R.250. If we have a look on the powered unit, we also have, apart from built in Britain, we've got R.159 and R.250. But looking at the slightly later one here with the TR shields, it seems to have been removed from the plastic moulding. See if we can get that in. You can see there, it's not there at all. We've got Triang's name, but the plate where that was has just been left blank. So let's just hold the other one up and see if we can see that one together. Yeah, so I wonder, other way around. Just grab that. So I know I've got that upside down, but we can see that shining in the light there. So I wonder whether it was removed when they stopped making the dummy diesel. We'll just pop that down there. We'll just have a swift look at that again. So I think probably these dummies had quite a short life in the catalogue. Again, you could see how easily you could have a twin motor in these models. And there she is, just passing the dummy unit on the right there. Now I think we're going to collect that in a moment and add it to the train. Gentle stop there at the end of the platform. And then we'll back up and take the tension out of the coupling and use that electric uncoupling ramp again. There we go. And off beyond points number 8 there. And we'll switch those. And straight through, and we'll pass the coaches and we'll go up and get this dummy unit R250 just beyond points number 5 there. We'll snap those open. Straight through, very well behaved again. We'll snap those shut. And then we'll roll back and collect that dummy diesel there. And if you watch her, she does have a little bit of a different sort of characteristic. Obviously, no lighting, but look at her how she wobbles. She's just got the Bogie pivots very low down, whereas the motorised unit has the one of the pivots on the motor Bogie very high up in the model. And I think that changes the way it sort of reacts when she's rolling around on the railway there. She has a completely different sort of characteristic, I think. We'll snap those points shut, and then we'll roll back and collect those coaches. I think we have that. There we go. Now this is going to add considerable friction to it because it's extra wheels, extra axles, and they're not the smoothest of things. Looking effortless at the moment. And we're going to come round through points number 7 and we're going to build up some power so we can try and negotiate that incline. I think I snapped these points shut a little bit too tight there, almost clipping that rear coach. And just listen to this. Definitely a lot of wheel slip going on there, isn't there? She streaks across the bridge. Now, I think that's it for this week. Again, thanks for watching, it's hugely appreciated. And if you look back again next time, we'll have something else from the range to look at. Goodbye now.